And so I want to be clear to Senator Ted Cruz. You do not belong in the United States Senate.
We came close to half of the House nearly dying on Wednesday.
I want to be clear to Senator Josh Hawley. You do not belong in the United States Senate. So get out.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was on ABC this weekend and made some rather dubious claims about the Capitol Hill riots and the danger that she says she was in. Let's take a listen to this.
Perhaps my colleagues weren't in that room. Perhaps my colleagues were not fully present for the events on Wednesday, but we came close to half of the House nearly dying on Wednesday.
Oh, you did? Half of the House nearly dying. Half. Really? That's what we came close to.
I don't think that we did. I don't think nearly half of the House almost died. I don't think nearly any member of the House almost died. I don't think any member of the House was even injured. That's just a complete lie. It's just completely made up.
The phoniness here, of course, is off the charts across the board with everything she said. And the idea that half of the House almost died is she has no basis for saying that. But then again, this is the woman to remember. You shouldn't be surprised to see drama and hyperbole from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is the woman who went down to the border and, if you remember, a couple of years ago, took pictures of herself pretending to cry outside of an immigrant detention center. Actually, she wasn't even outside of the detention center. She was outside of a parking lot. She took pictures of herself outside of an empty parking lot, posing as if she was in tears. So keep that in mind. That's who this is coming from.
We have to understand that what happened on Wednesday was insurrection against the United States. That is what Donald J. Trump engaged in, and that is what those who stormed the Capitol engaged in. And so when we talk about healing, the process of healing is separate and, in fact, requires accountability. And so if we allow insurrection against the United States with impunity, with no accountability, we are inviting it to happen again. That is how serious it is.
The last time that members of Congress almost died like that was not the Capitol Hill riot. It was 2017 when a Bernie bro shot up the congressional baseball game and very nearly killed Steve Scalise and other members of Congress. Steve Scalise really was close to death, but other guys, Rand Paul was hiding out, right? Rand Paul could have been hit, other people too. That story disappeared from the news. You didn't hear about the Nazi Democrats and all these sorts of things because that was not helpful to their narrative. So even though the congressional baseball game shooting was much, 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 much more dangerous to members of Congress, that one disappeared. And you didn't see the hand-wringing and all of these sorts of hysterical calls for instance, the impeachment of the president.
And so I want to be clear to Senator Ted Cruz. You do not belong in the United States Senate. I want to be clear to Senator Josh Hawley. You do not belong in the United States Senate. You do not belong in any democratically elected seat when you do not believe that election was even legitimate, according to your self-serving claims. So get out.
And AOC, you need, man, you crazy as hell. You need to look in the mirror. I mean, you're one of the worst politicians we have. The things you say is just reckless. Yeah, and what's amazing about that? Say that again, what you say? She's reckless, man. Y'all are just hypocrites on the left, and you need to drop the temperature down. Yeah. Didn't you hear what the president-elect said? He wants to bring the country together. Yeah, he wants to rebuild together. You telling senators, duly elected officials, they need to leave. They're never going to be president. They should resign. Yeah, she said, get out. You inciting violence, in my own humble opinion, telling other people after the American people voted for them to get out of office. Yeah. And one of them is a minority. Why do you get a pass? Yeah. You know why? She's a Democrat, man. I mean, honestly, the things she said, do she belong in the House? Behaving like that. No one does. Yeah, you shouldn't be. Congress should be full of leaders. Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
You know, I've heard that this works in China. Places like they have state media where they rein them in, and it works really well there.
What we know AOC will gladly do is use the power of government to shut down voices that she does not like, whether it's us on YouTube or you guys on cable TV or whatever it is. We know that. And by the way, this is where when they call for unity, what she means is, yes, once we eliminate all the voices we don't like, we will have unity.
The irony, though, is that don't correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was an Instagram Live, right? So she wants to be able to go on Instagram Live and say whatever she wants, right? But then she doesn't want anyone else to be able to do it. It's sort of like what she's saying is contrary to what she's actually doing.
What she means is by disinformation, when she says disinformation or misinformation, she means really anything that goes against progressive leftist dogma. I mean, if we're to believe her that, say, the world is going to end in 12 years because of climate change, then would she allow you in the media to say that you're against the Green New Deal if it's an existential threat to humanity? Would you be allowed to take a pro-life position if that really is about hating women, which is exactly what she would say? Would you be allowed to be for low taxes if her high tax policies are the things that help poor people, which of course they're not?
Well, if it wasn't for the last week, I wouldn't be so concerned about her threats. But I think after watching all of these platforms kind of disavow conservatives, block them and deplatform them, I am a lot more concerned.
You should be, Sean. I mean, there's no way to say it other than that. You absolutely should be. There's no reason to think that now that these people feel like they're this close to power. And this also was what I was warning about with Biden, because a lot of my more centrist Democrat friends, there's not many of them left, but there's a couple. A lot of them kept saying, oh, don't worry, Biden will stop this thing. He'll stop the radicals. They didn't bring in the radicals. They didn't go with Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, so he'll stop it. But what we're seeing is that, you know, if I can make an Alien reference, it's like he's just the body, he's the host, and the alien, the lefty alien, is going to burst forth in about a week from today. This is completely consistent with this totalitarian, authoritarian ideology that the left has pushed out there. They are trying to crush dissent, and then when you mix the big tech portion of this, where they're just going to censor the rest of us anyway, as has become incredibly obvious over the last few days, well, now you've got politicians saying, okay, let's get rid of misinformation, and instead of the government having to do it, they can do it through big tech. So it doesn't seem like a full-on assault on the First Amendment, which of course is about the government going after speech.